From AccuWeather.com, this is AccuWeather Daily, a brief host-read article. It's weather news in a nutshell. And welcome into the weekend edition of AccuWeather Daily. Today we're talking about the devastating wildfires in the Southwest and zooming in specifically on the situation in California, and then going to the other extreme with a story about a daring rescue in dangerous winter conditions in Antarctica. Wildfires are intensifying across California and the western U.S., fueled by extreme heat, dry fuels, and gusty winds, pushing several into megafire territory. Now, one of the latest threats is the rapidly spreading canyon fire north of Los Angeles, which ignited Thursday afternoon and expanded to more than 2.3 square miles in about 5 hours. The fire prompted evacuation orders for about 4,200 residents and evacuation warnings for an additional 12,500, with crews battling the blaze in steep, rugged terrain using ground forces and air support. California is also facing 14 other active fires across the state, including the Gifford Fire raging in the Los Padres National Forest, burning in Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo counties. The Gifford Fire has grown to over 104,000 acres and is 21% contained as of Saturday morning, according to CAL FIRE. Fire officials describe that fire as plume-dominated, with massive smoke columns creating unpredictable winds that have contributed to rapid fire growth and spread. Nearly 500 structures are threatened, and evacuation orders remain in effect across multiple communities. The Gifford Fire's plume-dominated behavior has led to huge daily growth, fueled by these dry fuels that carry flames rapidly through the terrain. Now, California is currently on pace for one of the worst wildfire years in recent memory, with more than 220,000 acres burned as of mid-July. Now, that's nearly 100,000 more acres than the 5-year average. This year's spike in fire activity is largely due to several major fires that happened back in January in central and southern California, which included 3 large blazes that raged in Los Angeles County. Even excluding those, totals still exceed that 5-year average. Farther east in Arizona, the Dragon Bravo fire along the north rim of the Grand Canyon has scorched nearly 135,000 acres since a lightning strike ignited it on July 4th. According to the National Interagency Fire Center, it is currently the largest wildfire in the lower 48. Firefighters are making some progress there, though, with containment reaching 36% as of Saturday morning after dropping to just 13% earlier this week. Officials say worsening weather has caused erratic fire behavior, particularly along the northern and southwestern flanks. The fire has grown so intense that it actually generated its own weather, producing pyrocumulus clouds, or fire clouds, observed for at least 7 consecutive days. The Dragon Bravo fire also destroyed the historic Grand Canyon Lodge in mid-July, leading to closures of the North Rim and Inner Canyon. Elsewhere in the West, dozens of fires are active in Nevada and Utah. Utah Governor Spencer Cox declared a state of emergency after nearly 700 wildfires erupted statewide this year. One of the most active is the Monroe Canyon Fire, which has burned more than 70,000 acres and forced evacuations in central Utah. The fire is 26% contained as of Saturday morning. The governor wrote in a social media post that nearly 3/4 of this year's fires have been human-caused, and urged people to use fire sense. Red flag conditions are expected to continue through the week, with dry thunderstorms bringing the potential for lightning strikes and gusty winds that may further fuel wildfires. The National Interagency Fire Center warned that the West will remain the nation's wildfire hotspot through at least September, with AccuWeather's senior meteorologist Alex Sosnowski noting that heat and winds will continue to spur new wildfires from west of the Rockies to east of Interstate 5. All right, to that story in Antarctica, where 3 people were airlifted in a high risk rescue mission this week after medical emergencies at a remote U.S. research base required urgent evacuation through some of the harshest flying conditions on the planet. Now, the mission conducted by the Royal New Zealand Air Force involved a non-stop round trip of nearly 20 hours through total darkness, sub-zero temperatures, and highly volatile weather. The C-130J Hercules aircraft departed from Christchurch, New Zealand on Tuesday, flew more than 2,400 miles south to McMurdo Station, the largest research base in Antarctica, and returned early Wednesday. According to New Zealand officials, one person aboard McMurdo Station required immediate medical care, and 2 others needed additional medical attention. A military doctor accompanied the crew on the flight to care for all 3 evacuees during the return journey. The evacuation had been requested by the U.S. National Science Foundation, which operates McMurdo. Although the station can house over 1,000 people during peak summer months, fewer than 200 remain through the Antarctic winter, when the base is plunged into 24-hour darkness and isolation. U.S. Chargé d'Affaires Melissa Sweeney said, "This mission was not just difficult, it was one of the most technically demanding operations an air crew can face. In extreme conditions, with little margin for error, the RNZAF executed this midwinter Antarctic medevac flawlessly." Air Commodore Andy Scott, who oversees air operations for the RNZAF, explained that winter missions to Antarctica are among the most dangerous that the force undertakes. Crews can only fly after intense weather analysis and coordination with the U.S. Antarctic Program Winter Team, which must manually prepare a runway carved into the ice. It is an extremely challenging environment to fly in on night vision goggles due to the extreme weather conditions. And at this time of year, and make accurate forecasting, well, that's indeed a challenge. Once the aircraft passes a certain point south, there are no alternate airfields in which to put that plane down and to divert it, which leads to a point of no return that adds to the stakes. Upon landing at McMurdo, the crew performed a hot refuel, keeping the engines running to prevent freezing while the patients were loaded aboard. The full mission from liftoff to touchdown took about 19 and a half hours. The rescue was the third of its kind that the RNZAF has completed since 2021. Sweeney added that this required absolute precision. It was daring, dangerous, and deeply courageous. This is the kind of mission that tests every ounce of skill and bravery. RNZAF delivered, just as they always do. McMurdo Station sits at the southern tip of Ross Island and is often unreachable in winter when temperatures can plunge lower than 90 degrees below zero. Nighttime is constant this time of year, and landings must be done using specialized goggles and instruments in a terrain of snow, ice, and wind-blasted open space. The 3 patients are now receiving care in Christchurch, New Zealand. Their current conditions have not been released. While Antarctica is known for its isolation and beauty, researchers say the risks are ever present, especially in winter. That's all for now. You can find more regional forecasts and science-based articles at AccuWeather.com. And for your local forecast at your fingertips, download the AccuWeather app. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe. I'll be back on Monday with more from AccuWeather.